Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding guest with us this evening, Jae Cheon, Korean-American, and he is the officer in charge of the North Chicago Post Office and also the Great Lakes Post Office. And he is a person that you should know. Greetings, Jae.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks. Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me here.
We're very happy that you've taken time from your busy schedule and literally your very busy schedule to be with us on the Community Forum, to let Lake County know about your personal and professional background and also, about a little bit about Korea. You know, I served in Korea in 1954-55. And Korea is about halfway around the world. I think you mentioned that Korea's morning time in Korea now,
Yes,
right?
It's early morning, yeah.
So it's about halfway around the world. So I spent some time there and also rest and recuperation in Japan. And I thought I was learning a few songs there. But you tell me that that's not Korean, that is Japanese.
Perhaps it is, but it's very hard for me to tell.
Okay. We'll talk about that
Okay.
and maybe have you give a little demonstration.
Sure.
But first of all, I want you to tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Well, Dr. Bruce, I came to the States when I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in New York City. I wasn't born with the silver spoon in my mouth. I grew up in a very poor, poverty neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated high school there. Then I joined the Marine Corps for the U.S., and I served 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
After getting out of the Marine Corps, I had a wonderful opportunity to meet my wife,
Mm-hmm.
and
How many
got
years?
married ever since. In fact, I was going to mention that in front of the audience here. I am very blessed, and it's as of last month, it's 22 years that I've been married.
Congratulations.
And I would like to say to my wife, thank you very much for living with me for the last 22 years. And hopefully we could continue on till death do us apart.
Fantastic. You know, when I was over there, the Kim was the common name there. Young ladies worked in an office named Kim, but Kim, is that a common name?
Yes, Kim is definitely the common name, like a Smith and Jones and Johnson. In fact, my wife's last name is Kim. Her first name is Heno.
Okay.
So it is a very popular name.
Okay. You mentioned that you have been in the United States now for how many years?
Since 1984.
Tell us about the adjustment that you made from Korea to United States.
Well, you know, it was culture shocking. In fact, I think every immigrant would go through very different culture. I've been blessed though overall living in the States, but there were many times in New York City that we had some difficulties. There were a lot of bullies going on,
Okay.
Racism, discrimination during my school years, but fortunately, through the grace of God, you know, I graduated without any issues, and then I joined the service. Since I got out, I worked at a few different companies, but mostly I spent majority of my years in the United States Postal Service.
I assume that was a cultural shock for you because there's no discrimination in Korea, right? Because they were all, or was it a different type?
You know, I think that's probably one of the most misconception.
Mm-hmm.
Even among the same nationality, I do believe there were discrimination against each other. For example, in South Korea, they have multiple provinces, or in the states you could call it like different states.
Okay.
Even among states, they would discriminate against each other. So not necessarily just because you're Korean, or just because you're Chinese, or just because you're, just because you represent the one nationality doesn't mean you will never experience the discrimination. In fact, even last names, they discriminate against the last names as well.
Wow.
And that's very interesting. My wife, last name Kim, is actually originated from Gyeongju. It's the royalty family. But then my last name is considered peasant. So it is interesting. Just because you're same race doesn't mean there's no discrimination. That's a false information.
Well, thank you.
Or misconception.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for promulgating that information to us, because, like you say, it's an assumption that we have.
Right.
That, but I guess between North and South Korean, there's a problem too, right?
Yeah, currently, there's a major issue. The Korea has been divided since 1953.
Okay.
There was a Korean War that broke out in 1950, and then 3 years of long battle. The U.S. and I believe China, the communists back then. I'm not sure what their political name is now, but they had a agreement, trust agreement. They have a 38th parallel, which divides the country. Since then, people from South or people from North can never cross that line. So it is very unfortunate for the people that used to live back in that time to go through that such tragic. And I'm not sure if many people can comprehend this, but for example, if your father was in north side of Korea, and you went to south side of Korea to work, to earn money, and then suddenly the war broke out. After 3 years later, there is a boundary of line that you cannot cross. So that father and that son cannot ever see each other again. And it's since 1953. It is 2017, and those people are dying. And majority of them are probably dead already. But it's a very unfortunate for those people.
And that's, I was about 20 miles from the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, just north of Seoul there. And I was a replacement because the police action ended June 27th, I think, 53. And I went over there in, July 54, And there's just a line there drawn there, right, that you cannot cross that line.
Yeah, DMZ, they call it.
DMZ, right, right. And that was pretty scary. And I landed in Busan, Sasebo, Japan, and by troop ship, and then we came over to Busan, and north of that was Daegu, right? And I remember the cities there. As a matter of fact, I learned how to bowl in Seoul, the Seoul of Korea, which is the capital, I guess, right?
Yes.
Of Korea, this type of thing, yeah. So actually, that was quite an experience, but you weren't born then, though, right?
No, I wasn't.
But you have a long story to tell. But the adjustment that you made in, New York?
Yeah, New York City.
The adjustment that you made in New York. Did you go to college there?
Actually, I joined the Marines right after high school. After I got out of the Marine Corps, I attended college for a little bit.
Okay. What piqued your interest in the Marines? And I served in the Army for a couple of years, but the Marines are a tough group there.
You know, to be honest with you, I was probably convinced by the recruiter. It wasn't something like that I dreamt to become a Marine.
Okay.
But just, you know, it's one of those things that just happen during your lifetime. And, you know, back then I was very immature. You know, right out of high school. I was 17 years old.
Okay.
My mother had to sign the contract because I was under 18 years old.
Okay.
And it was, those 4 years went by very slow at that time, but now looking back, it went pretty quick. But like I said, I was pretty immature. But if I had to do it again, I think I would have done it with a better attitude. And I would have probably enjoyed, you know, while I was serving the country.
Tell us about Korea, the resources, and if a person, when I was there, is quite different. It's more westernized now, right?
Yes.
But tell us about it. What will we expect to see in Korea now?
You know, I think in South Korea, it's not a big country, as you know.
Okay.
It's a very small country. There's some coals and mines. I don't believe there are a lot of natural resources.
Okay.
Other than I did some research, but there weren't much that were mentioned. But South Korea is very famous for ginseng. And they do have a lot of fresh seafood, the fresh, you know, from the ocean, because it has three sides. The country is peninsula. It faces the ocean. And ginseng, kimchi, you know the kimchi. So and there are a lot of famous healthy paste. Gochujang, doenjang, those kind of stuff that are being imported. Now, when it comes to more modernized, since you mentioned about the Western culture, South Korea produces a lot of cars, cell phones, Samsung, Hyundai. They're all from South Korea, and they import to the globally, you know, a lot.
You mentioned kimchi. Now, I never did eat any kimchi. That was a food that I figure is the Korean natural food, but it was eating, I guess, breakfast, noon, and night. I guess that was a famous food there.
Yeah, we eat kimchi 3 times a day if we could afford to eat it. It's very difficult to make because it takes a lot of time.
Okay.
But it's made out of fresh cabbage, Chinese cabbage, and you know you've put different paste and sauce and seasonings in there. So even kimchi itself, it has a variety. I mean, vast variety, you know, of selections. It's not just one kind of kimchi.
Well, tell us about family structure there. I understand there's a close-knit structure in the Korean families.
I think South Koreans are very family-oriented and very disciplined. They discipline their children as well. And they respect and honor seniors and elderly people. But it's very family oriented. And back in old days, the firstborn, you know, the responsibility of the firstborn was to take care of the elderly parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of that are those traditional family values are disappearing due to ever-changing culture.
There's a lot of talk in this country about health care. What about health care in Korea? And tell us about the lifespan of the men and women.
I'm not too sure about the lifespan, but as far as the health care, back in old days when I was growing up, if you did not have money, you couldn't literally get the health care service. But as the years went by, they introduced a like a government health care, and I think it's being provided to every citizen in South Korea.
Tell us about the uniqueness of education in Korea.
Well, South Koreans take education very, very seriously. Majority of them are. Majority of them do have a bachelor degrees. Their goal is to apply the competitive universities and graduate. The parents spend a lot of investment, a lot of time, a lot of money on their children's education. And I do believe normal daily, the average student that spends in school is 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Wow.
And then they still go to schools on Saturdays as well. I'm not sure if they go to every Saturdays, but when I was growing up, yeah, we were going 6 days a week.
Wow. And you had mentioned about the high suicidal rate too there. And what causes that?
I think among high school children, there is a high suicidal rate due to stress, academic stress. And also, last several years, there was a trend going on with the bully. And some kids were ending their lives because they couldn't stand the bullying. And besides that, I think there is a tremendous academic stress. And due to those reasons, the students are committing suicides. And at the same time, the adults, due to the low economy, unhealthy economy right now, I think even adults who are having a difficult time getting a job are committing suicides as well.
Wow. And as far as employment, you mentioned about the automobile industry, and tell us about the main employment of Koreans in South Korea.
Well, right now I do believe a lot of IT, technology field, a lot of mechanics, and just like the U.S., they have various of professions, and I think it's pretty much similar to here. They have all kinds of jobs, but like I mentioned before, Samsung, Hyundai, LG, there's a lot of high technology, high advanced companies in South Korea, and a lot of employment opportunities are there, obviously. And there are farmers, fishermen, chefs. So there are various different types of professions.
I notice in the communities here not only locally, but nationally, Koreans usually dominate employment, like, not just saying, cleaners and other products that, that are being processed here in this country. I know my favorite cleaners are Koreans, and when I go in, we speak Korean because they tell me that my speaking Korean and Korean speaking Korean, no same old, same old. And that's what they used to tell me in Korean. GI speaking Korean and American speaking Korean, no same old, same old. But tell us about the Koreans in the cleaning and the service businesses here in this country.
I grew up in New York City, and I lived in the Chicagoland area for a long time now, and so I could kind of compare, both cities. And a lot of Korean Americans own grocery stores, dry cleaners, restaurants, beauty salons, and beauty supplies, and some of them actually have high technology advanced companies. But I think those are. I'm sure I'm missing some of the other areas, but those are mainly the businesses that a lot of Korean Americans try to get into.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, what piqued your interest in a postal service?
I think during the time that when I was applying for the job, the benefits and the pay was decent, and I thought there were good opportunities in the USPS, and also being the USPS, you can carry over 4 years of military service into your retirement. So that was a plus, a benefit. So there were appealing, benefits in a USPS.
Well, it has really benefited you. You, as I mentioned at the top of the program, you're also in charge of the North Chicago Post Office, as well as the Great Lakes Post Office. And I assume because they both are small and adjacent to each other, right?
Yes, Great Lakes is a branch office of North Chicago.
Okay.
So it is managed by the North Chicago Post Office.
Mm-hmm.
Great Lakes branch office basically serves mostly the Navy
Mm-hmm.
military personnel.
Mm-hmm.
And the post office itself is located inside the base, naval
Okay.
base.
Okay.
And we deliver the part of the base and the majority of the housing,
Mm-hmm.
the base housing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We spoke about cultural diversity, but you have cultural diversity within the post office. And did you have any trouble in management having African Americans and Caucasians and other groups of people? I know you have Indians and all types. And tell us about the adjustment that you made in the managerial area.
I'm hesitating if I should imitate a Bruce Lee or not.
Well,
well, my friend, you have to flow like water. There's water in a cup.
mm-hmm.
If the water is poured into the cup, now it becomes a cup.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the
Okay.
little imitation of Bruce Lee
Okay.
interview. Obviously, I'm a fan of Bruce Lee.
Okay.
I think as a leader, you need to adjust yourself to the environment,
Okay.
to the employees. There are times that you need to be firm and exercise your leadership. But I've been educated with the Ken Blanchard's situational leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and also John Maxwell's influential leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realize is that it's easier if you adjust to that work environment instead of expecting that work environment to adjust to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's how you overcome those diversities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you have been supervisor for how long?
For a long time, yeah, actually. I've been hired since '99, and then less than a year, in 2000, I became an acting supervisor. They call it 204B. 204B is referred to the union contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's the page number, it's the code for the that describes the duties and responsibility of acting supervisor. I've been an acting supervisor since 2000.
Okay.
Became an official title supervisor since 2006 or 2007. And I have been officer in charge for several offices. This is not my first office. I've been an officer in charge in Lake Bluff and Bristol, Wisconsin as well. And
Okay.
I've been a acting branch manager in Waukegan Edison Square. Yeah, so I've held numerous positions within the USPS.
Now, within the government, you, in order to advance, you have to be mobile, then, right? And not just want to stay in one location.
Right, not necessarily. Some people choose to stay and they still get promoted.
Mm.
But for me, the person who mentored and trained me as a supervisor gave me some tips and I not necessarily, you know, I'm not moving around, not necessarily looking for promotion,
Okay.
but I do want to get out of the comfort zone time to time.
Okay.
So far, I've worked at probably 8, 9 different post offices.
Wow.
Since '99. Yeah.
Wow. You know, I'm going to give you a little break here. I mentioned about singing, and I called it singing, you know, but no one else calls it singing. But I noticed that you do sing a little bit, and you got interested in guitar too. Also, how did you get interested in music?
Yeah, I've always been interested in music since I was a little kid, and that was actually my dream. But you know, I've always had a stage fright, so maybe the dream wasn't realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But I've loved music all my life. I still do.
Okay. Okay, would you mind using your talent in music and showing our listening audience a little bit about Korean music, the real Korean music? I try to I try to bring back what I've gained when I was over there, but you have the real Korean music, and let us benefit from your
Thank
your
you.
voice and guitar.
I will do my best. Thank you.
Okay.
내 맘에 한 노래 있어 나 즐겁게 늘 부르네 이 노래를 부를 때에 큰 평화 임하도다 평화 하나님 주신 선물 오 크고 놀라운 평화 하나님 선물이세 주 십자가에 달리사 날 구원해 주셨으며 주 예수님 고난받아 나 평화 누리도다 평화 평화 하나님 주신 선물 오 크고 놀라운 평화 하나님 선물이세 There comes to my heart one sweet stream, a glad and joyous refrain. I sing it again and again. Sweet peace, the gift of God's love. Peace, peace, sweet peace, wonderful gift from above. Oh, wonderful, wonderful peace, sweet peace, the gift of God's love.
Very good. I'll be the audience, and I'm sure. Then, how would you class? What class type of music?
That was a hymn,
Okay.
traditional hymn. I
Okay.
just sang in Korean.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. I really appreciate that. That really gives the people an appreciation, of the Korean music, and not Brooks's version of Korean. Tell us about church. The main denomination of churches in Korea.
Well, first of all, I think the religion, the percentage, the latest research that I found was approximately 35% are Christian,
Oh,
and the rest, 40-some percentage do not affiliate with any religion, and the rest, next to that high percentage would be the Buddhism and the miscellaneous religion.
okay.
But among the Christians, I think Presbyterian Church, Evangelical, and Baptist Church, and Catholics are the largest denominations in South Korea.
Okay. I think you mentioned that you were going to a Korean church south of here, but it got to be kind of wear and tear,
Yeah.
and you go to church near your in your city, in the village where you live now.
Right. We used to go to Korean United Presbyterian Church in Chicago for many years, but I guess it just gets too old, traveling back and forth anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours on the road. So we chose one nearby in Gurney, and the teachings are very biblical. The teachings align with my faith, and we're blessed.
You think people went to an all Korean church because they feel more comfortable being in a Korean denominated church?
I think, the Korean Americans, I think they still feel comfortable within their community, and they still stick within that comfort zone. One of the reasons is probably the language barrier.
Okay, I got you.
And even if they want to attend other English speaking churches, they may not understand, fully comprehend the message. That's part of that. That's probably the main reason. And another reason is cultural difference. I think they still long for that Korean community within the church.
I mentioned that because I know I was a member of a Rotary for many years, and the Koreans formed an all-Korean club. I think it's in Wilmette or the south of here, and I think it's because of that constituency,
Right.
that they just want to, the language barrier you mentioned, about the cultural difference and so forth. But they love Rotary, but they have their own club.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, I think there are a lot of clubs within the Korean American community, but simply due to the fact I think they want to commingle with their own culture.
Okay.
their own Korean community. At the same time, there's a language barrier.
Okay.
Because I know we talked about this before, why they only stick within their race. But those are the main reasons, not necessarily because they do not want to commingle with other race or the community, but I think they feel more comfortable staying
Okay.
within their own nationality.
Well, what about your family and so forth? Are you active in social organizations? I guess beyond the Korean community.
You know, actually, I'm not a people person.
Okay.
So I'm not really active at all, and but my wife is. My wife is very active. She is currently working at the Hanul Alliance agency. It's a nonprofit organization. She's working. She's been working there last 2 years. And she also voluntarily serves Mirar. It's a volunteer service for helping and taking care of handicaps.
Oh.
And also she is involved in a worship dance. She expresses the worship dance, the gospel, the message through dancing with the
Okay.
gospel music.
Okay. Well, what about your children? Give me your take on private versus public schools.
My belief is whether you attend a public or private, I think the education starts from your home.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. I'm a firm believer that the education, moral value, it should be taught from home.
Okay.
But as far as the, my two kids went to public school, and they both did well. One is in junior, and one's in college as a freshman, and they both did well. Fortunately. However, that's not always the case within a community like Waukegan or North Chicago. I think some of our employees are actually, we had a discussion about that, and they prefer their kids going to a charter school or private schools because of the public schools within that neighborhood is lacking the competition, holding accountable, with teachers, their ability to teach. So, I guess, for us it was fortunate that my kids did not have much issues with the public schools. But however, in an area like North Chicago and Waukegan, maybe the local government needs to look into it and come up with the alternate solutions.
You mentioned a good point there. North Chicago, I believe, is only one of about 2 school districts where the state did come over and take over. But why should that be? Why should the state have to come in and take over the management of the school system? It means that the local administration lack its ability to do it, or just lack of interest, or what?
Dr. Brooks, I think there are a lot of corruptions everywhere, even in education system. This goes back many years when one of the superintendent from D.C. Wanted to change things. She faced a lot of oppositions.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I read this article in the Time magazine. The union representative actually they investigated, and they found out that the union representative for the teachers, she had spent tens of thousands of dollars on her personal things You know, those are the type of people that you're dealing with. So, you know, regardless of whether, you know, education or any government agencies or any companies, I think the corruption's, you know, is always there.
Yeah, we had several people served in prison from the local school district, you know, because there's, and that's too bad too. And what about the parental interest in the school district? Is that plays a great part?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think the education, the moral value, everything that the kids learn, it starts from your home.
Okay.
And I do believe the parents' active involvement in the community and in school makes a huge difference. You know, I mentioned I'm not a people person. You know, I may not be active in with my kids' schools, but my wife is. You know, so.
There's a balance.
Right, exactly. You know, whether father or mother, you know, as a parent, I think it is important to get involved. Not necessarily, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be in school, but even in the community. Go out and do something, volunteer, find out what's going on in the community. You know, and I think it makes a huge difference to their lives and their kids' lives. And I think when the parents are active, especially in the school, I think the kids gain confidence. I think they gain confidence through their parents' active involvements.
Something happened locally. We had 3 youngsters to go through, and they all went to top colleges. 2 went to Big Ten colleges, Michigan State University, University of Illinois, and National College of Education. They all graduated. And 2 has master's degrees, and one has a doctorate, a couple of doctor's degrees, you know, and so forth. But the local community were active in PTA, PTOs, in the kind of education a child was getting. But now we're 70% renter-occupied, and we just don't have the interest in the parents and the kids like we had. You know, that's really this decaying. And when you look to live in a community, one of the first things you look is about the school system, you know, the city management, park district, and this type of thing, to drive you to live in that, the residence. Well, do you feel that your children can achieve any goal that they want to achieve, provided they prepare for it? And tell me about your part in helping them prepare for it.
You know, I make sure and I do my best to make sure that they prepare for themselves. You know, higher education, all that stuff. But I think there's always going to be a barrier. I think there's always going to be a wall that you have to face. Unfortunately, because we're living in an imperfect world. And it's how they overcome those barriers and the walls that they face would make a huge difference in their lives. So, you know, I'm not going to be giving them any false hope, saying that you could become whatever you want. I think although that's the modern trend in the U.S., reach for the stars and, you know, whatnot, but I don't think you could actually reach to the stars. You know, it's just the sayings, but, you know, the bottom line is be realistic and prepare for the real world, not hopeful world.
Well, you mentioned about the real world. We live in a global society, right?
Yes.
And it's not just local. For instance, I received a telephone call of a marketing person. They were in India, and they were marketing for a local company here. So, is it realistic that we live in a global society? We should be your children will be competing globally for employment.
Yeah, that's the realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a political cartoon back when I was in junior high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had an Uncle Sam looking over the wall with a binocular,
Mm-hmm.
and then inside the wall there was a homeless person who was begging for money.
Mm.
And interestingly, that cartoon still plays significant role or sends us a strong message even till now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the government needs to take care of within the country first,
Okay.
you know, before they look after other countries. So that's something, you know.
Well, we speak about Korea, but what about this country, the United States? Do you feel that there's a war within this country? You know, we speak about going and assisting other countries, but what about, is there war within the country?
I'm not sure. That's
That's
a
kind of general.
very, very tough question. But yeah, I think there's war. There's disputes. You know, when you say war, I think the form of discrimination, the hatred,
Okay.
the racism, corruptions.
Okay.
I think you can consider all that into or define that as a war
Yeah.
within a country. And would that ever be resolved? I don't think so, because we're not living in a perfect world, perfect country.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we can certainly try to reduce it, you know, and I think we can do it. But
Is it realistic to believe that prayer changes things? That we should pray more?
yeah, interestingly, today was the National Prayer Day.
Today, okay.
Yeah, today was a 66th, prayer day. That's what I heard over the Moody station. Yeah, I definitely believe prayer would change. Prayer can change everything.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like the answers that you get from the prayer, or you may not get the answers immediately. But I do believe in prayer, and I do believe in sovereign God. So, you know, I could look back and you know, reflect my life, some of the hardships, discriminations, and sufferings and pains that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe in sovereign God, He did allow that in my life.
Okay.
And He's still allowing it. And I think it's teaching me to become a patient, more patient person. But I do believe in sovereign God. So even those unfortunate events are just like the book of Job. I think it does happen within the God's control.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Interesting you mentioned that God is Alpha and Omega.
Yes, sir.
Beginning and the end. And do you know on your epitaph, when you leave this world, it would have date of birth, dash, date of death, right? Mm-hmm. It's only what you do between the dash what counts in the world.
That's absolutely a good point.
So,
yes.
But tell us about computer technology. How has that changed operations? We'll go within the post office, we'll say. We won't say in the world, within the post office.
You know, I'm not here representing the USPS, so I can't speak on.
But I mean, you use pencil and paper, and but since you have computers within,
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, I'm not here to represent the USPS, and
Yes.
I don't want to talk anything behalf of USPS. But as a postal customer,
Okay.
because I use the postal service, as a postal customer, the amount of mail that I used to receive and the amount of mail that I receive now
Yes.
is absolutely different.
Okay.
Back in before 2000, when internet was not popular or highly advanced yet, people were still using the letters. The companies were using advertisement through the mail.
Okay.
But as the internet and the computer, these technologies advances, I am definitely not receiving as much as mail that I used to receive. So, you know, from the postal customer's point of view, there is a significant difference due to the technology. And, you know, technology definitely is convenient. However, it is also very risky and damaging people, mentally and physically.
What about the school system? I know as far as the GED or the General Education Development Program, the computers are used now instead of the pencil and paper, this type of thing. That's computers. I mean the GED. But in the school system itself, computers are down into the grade schools and the elementary schools that they use them now. And is that good or bad?
You know, I'm not sure, but just my opinion would be that because it's a very competitive world, I think you don't have choice.
Okay.
You know, I do not want to wake up and turn on the computer. I'm not one of those computer or the high technology, you know, gadget person.
Yeah,
but so I'm not looking, you know, I'm not looking forward to wake up in the morning and turn on the computer and get into all these technology stuff. But I don't have a choice but to use it because it is one of the requirements of my work. And it is one of the requirements for my kids when they go to school because they have to utilize those computers, the tools, to get their assignments done. So learning from the early age, whether they like it or not, I think it's just a matter of whether you have choice or not.
I know my job in my last couple years, they brought in computers on the job. In person, never seen a computer before, but reports that goes to Washington and goes regionally, state, whatever, are sent by computer. And you have to adjust, you have to learn the computers, you know. So we're in the computer age.
Yes, definitely.
And had to be prepared to use them. Well, where does Jae Cheon expect to be, 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I hope I'm retired.
Okay.
I heard the definition retire as a redirection. You know, I'm not looking forward to retire and do nothing, but I would like to retire from what I am doing now, and I am certainly looking forward to do something different. So hopefully in the next 10 years, you know, I would accomplish that goal, and hopefully my kids, both kids, graduate from college and get a decent job and just, you know, move on their own, and hopefully just, you know, just me and my wife happily living together.
Okay, you mentioned the military, and you were an interpreter.
Yes.
Now, how were you selected to be an interpreter?
I had no choice. Just because I speak Korean, the Marine Corps used me as an interpreter. I wasn't getting any compensation or anything. It's military, as you know.
Okay.
You do what you're told to do.
Okay.
So, Yeah, I've been an interpreter since I was 17 years old. And even now, I'm an independent contractor and worked for a couple of companies as a professional interpreter.
Okay.
So I used to go around interpret for the U.S. Marine Corps during when we were deployed for exercises in South Korea. Whenever there were some issues within the community, the village, if there was any litigation between the legal issues between the community and the Marine Corps or military personnel as such, I would be playing liaison and interpret what was going on.
I would like to say this. I really enjoyed having you. It's been a short time and I really appreciate you literally taking time from your busy schedule to be with us on Community Forum. And I'm sure our listening audience have been pleased, to hear about yourself and also career and your views, your vision, your goals, and your objectives. As they do in Korea, they say thank you, and they use this method of saying thank you. Now, give us a little background on that before we close.
We say 안녕하세요
Yeah.
when we greet to see each other.
Okay.
When we say goodbye, as a respect, 안녕히 가세요.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks.
And we'd like to have you again as a part 2 later on, and maybe with your wife.
Okay.
Yeah, too, and talk about her profession and not-for-profit organization. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Jae Cheon. He's a Korean American, and I was in charge of the North Chicago Post Office and also the Great Lakes branch of the Post Office. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we hope to have him as a part 2 and for some future date. This has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.